Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. Of course, coming to you from the Crime Prevention Security System studios, large enough to serve you and small enough to carry. Terry Norvelle here. Shane off today as well. We think Shane will be back tomorrow, but I've had a great time here the last several days, hitting and missing with Shane, traveling and doing business and all that stuff. We've got a packed show again today on a Tuesday. First half of the show, Buddy Martin will join us as he does on Tuesdays all the time here on Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. Second half of the show, turn it hardcore to college baseball. Trent Intorcia, my buddy, the former Mississippi State baseball player, 3 years in the minors. Trent played on a College World Series team at Mississippi State. He's our baseball analyst, does a great job. Trent, of course, a former teammate of Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro, that great Mississippi State team in '85 that is still considered the best college baseball team to never win a college baseball national championship. So that sets up the show. Let me tell you real quick, at South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. With that, let's welcome my main man. Buddy Martin joins us as you do every Tuesday. Buddy, how the heck are you? Look great, man. What's going on?
Good to see you, Terry, once again. We've been doing this a while, haven't we?
A little bit here. And as always, I love to tip my hat to Mr. Buddy Martin, one of the 2 or 3 mentors of mine in the business. I don't know if you take that or want that on your resume or not, Buddy, but over the years, I have admired you like many, many people in Florida, in the South. You're one of the legends, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. A lot to get to today, Buddy. Buddy, I'm real curious. I haven't had a chance to really hear you, and I hope we're not repetitive here. And we'll try and take some Facebook Live comments. Obviously, our Facebook Live segment sponsored by Meldon Law, the only official injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Buddy, your thoughts, you've been around, you've seen a lot, you've covered a lot. Your level of concern with college sports / college football, with the changes we're going through, Buddy, they've started. They're not going to stop for a while. It's going to take a while for this stuff to kind of work its way out. I don't know where it's going. You don't know where it's going. Buddy Martin, what is your level? I'm concerned. What's your level of concern, sports / college football in particular?
Well, good morning, Terry. Good to be with you again. Listen, this is an ongoing topic, and I can't answer it on this show. Sure. So if when you get done, if we want to do a 3-hour special, I'm available. We can knock that out. But I will say I'm somewhere between concerned and worried, right in the middle there. Yeah. At first, I felt like it would work itself out. This great game that we all love. Terry, you're not much of a nut about college football as I am. We've been doing this together for 20 whatever, how many years we've been doing it. And we're all concerned because we don't know what it is. When you don't know what it is, you can't identify it, and you are not in control. And college coaches particularly are control fanatics. Yeah. They want to control everything. This is way outside their purview. And so they don't know what to do. I feel for them. The smart ones figured out early on, this isn't going away. No. You can't get a get off my lawn guy out of here and get rid of it. This ain't going to happen that way. You got to deal with it. The smart ones have been the guys who have adjusted over the years. And I go back to the days when there was only one college football game on TV, and they had a big lawsuit in 1985, I believe it was. And they now suddenly all this, as Howard Cosell would say, plethora of college football. Yeah. It's a good thing. I think out of this will come a lot of good. I think it's going to be painful. I think it's going to be difficult. We've already seen the residuals of this with the latest heavyweight bout between Jimbo and Nick, which I thought was great, by the way. I loved a little truth serum. You know what I mean? I love the fact that they were able to mix it up and get out there and duke it out a little bit. And I know a lot of people didn't. It was painful to watch. Among them, Greg Sankey, who, by the way, I'm a little bit disappointed with, because his ability to put a cap on a gag order on this indicates to me that they're trying to control the narrative, and you can to a certain extent, but you can't always. So Greg Sankey maybe stepped outside the box too far by telling Lane Kiffin, no, you can't go on Dan Patrick's show and talk about it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack here, but let's just say I think in the end, if they would have paid the players something like Steve Spurrier wanted them to do back in Destin 15 years ago or so, when he threw his wallet on the table and said, I can pay my players that I'm out of my salary, and you guys can too. And I'm taking names of everybody who says they want. Well, he did get cost of attendance in there, and it got that built in somewhat. But it's got a ways to go. When you got coaches, I'll get off the soapbox with this. When you got coaches walking out of here with 10, 12 million in the back pocket, and players couldn't even transfer and were stuck with their fate, that was not equitable, not fair. Something had to change. Well, it changed. And it changed all at once. And if you were sitting at home or you're a coach and you didn't understand name, image, and likeness, too bad. You're behind the 8 ball right now. Yeah. What are you going to do? And I think Billy Napier figured it out early. And I think he's going to be one of the ones that's kind of really having an advantage in this arena now.
Visiting with Buddy Martin here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. Terry Norvelle in for Shane. Shane should be back tomorrow. We'll put that topic to bed in one quick second. Real quick, let me tell you, Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Visors, Rooftop, Dave & Buster's, Regal Cinemas, Hotel Indigo, Sensei Asian Bistro, Escapology, and of course the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Tuesday you can enjoy 50% off handcrafted martinis. From 4 until 10, we'll see you at Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate. Buddy, kind of wrapping up that topic, we'll talk some Gator softball in a little bit, talk some Gator baseball as they get going today. A nice recruit committed to basketball, Todd Golden, yesterday. I wonder, and part of my concern is this shakes out if that line of, I call it that line of demarcation. I think college sports has to have some uniqueness and some standalone to make it its own entity. I worry that nobody brings up, what if a percentage of the fans just get ticked off and they walk away? You know, fans are eyeballs. Eyeballs are money. Fans are tickets and donations. That's money. Nobody seems to bring up 5 years from now, what if 6-7%, which is a huge percentage of the fans go, yeah, I'm out of this. I can feed my sports with this thing called the NFL. Nobody seems to be thinking about how the fans going to accept this or not.
Well, not so fast, my friend, because on this show we brought it up several weeks ago.
Okay, good.
And I know that the 5 people who watch us would know it, but yes. But I mean, it is a concern, and you better not screw around with them. Yeah, I mean, especially in the SEC, you're messing with them now in their game. Yeah, and they need to be a part of this to make it successful. And I think you're exactly right. It's one of the many things on their list. They need to check it off. Right now, they're just trying to keep the lights on and figure it all out. But ultimately, it is the fan that's going to make the difference. And if you betray them, you may never get them back. And we've seen programs lose that kind of thing. I don't think that will happen, but you can get lost in the farce. And as SEC, you know, even this thing with Sankey, that bothers me a lot, you know, in terms of trying to control the message. The beautiful game of college football, and it flourishes in the SEC, and where it is a slogan and a cliche, but it does matter more. And as you know, Terry, we talked about it's a way of life down here. And so you better not mess with that. There's a couple of things like that. I think there are larger pictures, the intrinsic value of what we have here in the game of college football. You better not take it for granted. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, you start messing with them. You want to see people protesting outside the stadium. You know, you think it's bad in Washington. If you piss off the SEC fan and they feel betrayed, they'll be on you like the old saying, a duck on a June bug.
Yeah, we've got, again, on the Melbourne Law Facebook Live, Dan says, if it becomes pay for play in football, I would give my time and money to softball, baseball, and gymnastics. That, again, from the Melbourne Law Facebook Live comment section. Dan chiming in from Texas. Yeah, that's just a concern. Buddy, changing topics. You're a guy, I'm a guy that has, over the years, I've had a love affair with SEC football in particular on the radio. It's a craftsman that is good at radio broadcasting is a very, very special That's a special broadcaster that can paint the picture on radio. There's a romanticism about radio, and particularly Deep South football on the radio. I bring this all up because Mick Hubert announced his retirement and recently in the step down. He's one of the last really long-standing radio voices in this Deep South. I'm going to say Deep South. You know, the John Wards and the Munsons and Mick, obviously, Lindsey Nelson and you know, on and on. Kaywood Ledford, buddy. Technology is going to force that craft, I think, out, because now you can visually see everything and audio hear it. A bit of a sad moment. Mick's one of the 5 or 6, you know, Deckerhoff stepped aside at FSU. Mick's one of the last 5 or 6 true radio craftsmen of their trade. Talk about the relationship between the radio and Deep South football.
Gosh, sure. You know, I've had a romantic affair with this since I was about 12 years old. When I climbed up the stringing pines outside my house and took a wire, and my dad's big Zenith radio, I could get KMOX in St. Louis and listen to the Mutual Cardinals. I mean, you know, that's how we grew up. We had there was no games on TV, and for those of us, the older people, we've always loved radio. But you're right, it is a different time. Technology now has moved us beyond that. Everything's stream, whatever. And I think Mick is one of a kind. And I have an opinion, a very strong one, about what ought to happen and why it should happen. In fact, on your show today, I'm going to unveil my choice. My choice is the person I think ought to have that microphone. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are worthy. Your friend of mine, Frank Frangie, was his dream job. He wanted one day. Well, now he's, you know, in a position of being the voice of the Jaguars. As he's 63, and I think he understands this is a little younger man's game at this point in time. And not that he wouldn't be good, he'd be excellent. Yeah, there's other people who are currently on the air. Jeff Cardozo is one who's been the name has been brought up, but I got the guy. Who is it? It needs to be the guy, and it's a piece of cake, but it probably won't happen because I'm in favor of it. All right, and I texted him and told him this. James Bates would be the perfect choice to be the voice of the Gators. And then you can break it down for he can't do basketball, he can't do football. Yeah, you know, that's not necessarily true, but there's other ways of doing this, Terry. You don't have to have one guy do everything. Look, Mick Hubert is forever going to be in our heads, our psyche. And I said on my show last night, it's like the cliche, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it really fall? If the Gators win a championship and Mick Hubert's not there to tell you, did they really win it? So the credibility of that person is important, but it's a bigger game than that now. It's a visual medium. Everything is streamed. Yeah. Batesy is, people say, well, no, he doesn't know how to do football. Hey, he's been doing play-by-play television for 7 years in the ACC, for crying out loud. Come on, he's qualified. He'd be a great representative. He would be fun to be around. And you say, what about basketball? Well, Cardozo's got baseball and probably could do basketball. I'm speaking for him out of turn. I don't know Jeff that well. I can't speak, but that problem can be resolved. This is a key part of Florida's now multi-million-dollar, $250 million budget, whatever. Find the right guy. At least give Batesy a shot here and find out, because Siri, I'm going to move to give you just 30 more seconds. No, I'm an arena here. You have to understand, people forget you. I know. I mean, and I met a friend the other day who I've known for 50 years. He said, buddy, he said, he says, I miss your show and miss your column. Hello, Bob. I'm on the air 4 nights a week, Monday to Thursday. I do a column every week. I didn't know that. Scott is my nephew. Didn't tell me about that. Well, I called Scott up and ringed him out. And Bob is his name. I started Don't Be Like Bob campaign. We're here. Nice. We're doing this. If you want us, fine. But the thing is, Bob turned around and subscribed to Gator Bait. Okay, fine. So now that's on me. If I don't tell you what I am, what I'm doing, whatever, that's on me. And I know I don't like to talk about myself, as you don't, but we have to tell people. Terry Norvelle has been doing this a long time. Sure. Terry Norvelle is a voice in Jacksonville. Terry Norvelle is sitting in today for Shane Matthews. Sure. So I'm just saying, put it out there. I don't know if James Bates would be the right guy for Scott Strickland, but he would be a perfect choice for Gator fans.
Like it a lot. Dan on the Meldon Law Facebook Live comments wanted us to remember Eli Gold still going. We talked about old radio voices that got us into this topic. Richard on the Meldon Law Facebook line says Batesy and Shane. I'm assuming Batesy wants the job. A lot of travel. It's a different even now than it was 20, 25 years ago. You play more games. Just staying with football. Remember the days of a 10-game regular season? Now it's a 12-game regular season. Maybe a conference championship. Maybe obviously multiple bowl games. A lot of travel, a lot more games. I'm assuming Batesy wants the job.
He does. He wouldn't tell the world that.
Sure.
I happen to know that he does. And here's the thing. He travels every weekend to call an ACC game. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
And like I say, the Mick Hubers of the world that cut their employee of the university and cover all the sports, that day has got to be over.
Gone. That day is gone.
In my opinion, maybe not, although I hear that University of Florida is not thinking that way. They're thinking about someone to be an all-purpose guy.
All-purpose, yeah. We'll see. It'll play out. And again, this topic was bred by the legends. We're losing, and it's just the way of passage. But Mick Hubert, one of the last handful of guys that will, along with Gene Deckerhoff, that will step aside.
All at one time. They're all gone one time. And Decker, by the way, just want to note this. Where is Mick Hubert living? Sarasota. Who's looking for a play-by-play guy? The Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm just saying. All right. Now, I think Mick does. I think Mick has expressed a desire to be home and be in his church. He's had kind of an epiphany in his life. Wish him all the best. But it's going to be different not having Mick's voice on the call.
Yeah. Really, really will. He's Buddy Martin. I'm Terry Norvelle, sitting in for Shane Matthews here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning at Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Also, Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com and join us on Fridays for our Peachland Dentistry JC and the QB weekend picks. By the way, JC and the QB, those Friday picks, that's must tune into argument. Streaming. Those guys, they're an old married couple, buddy, is what they are. These two.
Yeah, they are. They've been doing this a while, so it's fun stuff. And people don't realize that JC's been around a long time. He used to be in TV, and he's done this a long time. He followed the Gators a long time.
Yeah, so. He has. Todd Golden, nice pickup yesterday. Gator basketball, top 50 player. Hope I'm not screwing up the last name, buddy. Riley Kugel, maybe if I'm not mispronouncing it. Hot shot, top 50 basketball player, commits to Florida. I think it came down to Georgia, LSU, Florida. Obviously, Mike White, now at Georgia, probably, had a lot of communication with him during the recruiting process. Nice top 50 pickup for, it appears anyway, for Todd Golden.
Yeah, and I always go to my favorite basketball columnist, Franz Beard, who follows this stuff really closely. Right. And all I can tell you is I know he was a Ben Howland committed to Mississippi State and opted out. And I guess the rankings speak. Yeah. I used to kind of poo-poo the rankings a little bit, saying, 4 stars. But it's been proven. It's been actually the thesis has been proven out, and some people I know did it, that if you look at the 5-star rankings, there's a definite correlation between championships and 5 stars. So I don't know what a star he is. Yeah, no, it's been proven that the guy went with the rosters and the number of the people with the most 5 stars win almost every time in football. Now, I don't know about basketball, but football is a proven fact that this is true. So you can't ignore it. I would say this: it's a good sign in the world of activity. To use the old English proverb, don't confuse activity with achievement. But it could be an achievement, and there's 2 things that happen. Riley Kugel was one, and that is picking up a guy like that, and then a new wide receiver. I want you to be sure and ask Trent Whittemore about this guy and see what from Arizona State, led to Arizona State, 48 receptions. So those are good things for Gator fans.
I know Ricky Pearsall is the guy you're talking about, right. The portal guy that's coming over now. He made it official. He's coming to Florida. About 48.
2 years. He has 2 years, by the way.
2 years. He had right at 50 catches. I think 48 catches. 40, Power 5 conference. 4 or 5 touchdowns receiving. He's a player, and I was told yesterday he's kind of a slot wiggle. I call him wiggle guy, and Florida needs that guy. They don't have that wiggle slot guy. They got a lot of Justin Shorters and Henderson's tall, long striders. They need that kind of wiggle guy. And buddy, I've been told he's that slot guy, crossing route, catch it and open up space. So it looks like a big pickup. Looks like a real big pickup.
A bit of a burner. They need somebody to stretch that defense. So they probably need one more. But anyway, that's a positive sign. Billy Napier's people getting the job done there with a pickup on the. I would expect them to have more before the season starts. I'm not sure if they get eligible in time or not, though.
And hopefully some big defensive linemen. I think that's that next hole. They need some interior defensive linemen. I want to get in a moment, buddy, to our comfort temp today in sports, because I want to get your comments on it. We got a couple more topics I want to hit with Buddy Martin here. Terry Norvelle sitting in for Shane Matthews on a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. You actually touched on the Saban Jimbo dust up. It's going to go a little longer, then it's going to die down, then it's going to kick up in July at media days. Buddy, real quick, I'm very intrigued with Gator softball. They're a big brand. Gator softball is a big deal. They're one of the blue blood softball programs. That Gator softball means something. It's intimidating. I'm really intrigued to see the big bad Gator softball brand for the first time in a long time. They're always in a super regional. They're rarely traveling. They travel to Blacksburg. Virginia Tech's had a nice season, but I don't know if they've seen anything like that brand. That softball brand carries a lot of weight. I'm curious to see what the softball team does on the road.
The watchability of softball is off the charts. It's fun to watch. It's fast game. There's some terrific players on Tim Walton's team. He's been doing this successfully a long time, and you almost expect them to be there in postseason because they've been there so often. Baseball team, Florida, is a little ways to go there. Maybe out of Coral Gables, they'll be able to get out of that and get a chance to go for the goal one more time. They're a spot or two away. I think they're playing better. But the softball team is fun to watch. It's a quick game, and those young women are terrific athletes, and I enjoy watching it because it's you watch it an hour and a half, and in the play, and they're just doing a good thing. And I'm with you. I'll be watching in postseason to see what they can do.
Well, you're all over it, buddy. When the SEC network popped up in 2014, they had hours to fill, and they had to put sports on. So we saw much more women's softball and gymnastics, two sports that I just you didn't see it much. It wasn't out there. You had to go to them. Man, I am in love with both sports. They're perfect for television. They're quick. They're action-packed. The venues, both gymnastics and softball, are small and tight. You can see everything at the game or on TV. Can't wait to see the big bad Gator brand roll on the road. I think there's an intimidation factor. Virginia Tech better get that first game. I'm telling you, Friday, they better get that first game. Yeah. Florida's going to be a real tough out. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help you go through life with the right insurance options for you and, of course, your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com or call them at 352-240-1779. A couple more moments here with Buddy Martin, the Tuesday guest here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. I'm Terry Norvelle in for Shane. We think Shane will be back tomorrow. Got a lot of business. I've been in 3 or 4 times over the last week or two. Shane taking care of a lot of stuff. And yeah,
by the way, I'm docking him for missing my show this week. He's on with me Monday nights. He wasn't never able, so I'm cutting his salary.
Hey, that's your business. That's your. Hey,
I'm just saying.
Hey, don't mess with the $5 I'm getting today for this show.
You're getting $5?
I get $5. Been around a long time.
Wait a minute now. I only pay Shane $1 a show, so he might want to raise.
Hey, let me tell you, folks, real quick, and it's going to transition into our this date in sports. At Comfort Tech, comfort is their business. Peace of mind is their promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioner's tune-up today. Tune it up before it goes out. I'm telling you, I've done that, and I've been on both sides of them. Do it before you need it tuned up, keeping you chill and the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call them today, 352-376-2366. I'm telling you, get your AC tuned up before it's blowing lukewarm air and they can't get to you. You're calling around. You're not near a Comfort Temp. Do it. That's a old man piece of advice before it gets hot.
You're talking right to me, man. I know I need to do this. I know I need to do it. So thank you,
buddy. Okay, how about this, buddy? Today in Sports, presented by Comfort Temp. Let's take it back to 1935. How about that, buddy? 1935 on this day, the first Major League Baseball game ever played under the lights. Of course, Cincinnati, they did everything first because they go way back. Cincinnati was the team in Philadelphia. Buddy, think about sports, though. I picked this out because think about where sports would be if you couldn't play at night, right? The growth of sports needed Thomas Edison and the boys to light it up. Sports would be so far behind if we didn't have the capacity to play night games, buddy.
Terry, first of all, I did not cover that 1935.
No, you did not.
Okay, so just so you know that. But I'll tell you what I did cover. The first World Series night game played in Pittsburgh. I was there. And that was when Bowie Kuhn refused to wear a coat, even though it was cold. Because he moved it to nighttime. And just a quick 30-second anecdote, I stayed at the William Penn Hotel there, which is a room with old hotel where the baseball writers stayed. And you lock the door from within inside when you get in the room. When I got home at 1:30, I threw my wallet and stuff on the top of the thing and never locked the door. The next morning, I went to breakfast with George Solomon from the Washington Post. I was going to be a big dog and pay for it. Reached for my wallet, $700 cash gone. Ripped off right there. And despite what my colleagues tried to accuse me of doing, no, I didn't spend it elsewhere.
Yeah.
It was robbed from me, okay? And so I remember that night game very well. And, yeah, I mean, it is a large part of what we do. I do love some of the things they used to do at Wrigley when they played day games all the time. But you have to have – it's television. It rules the roost, and it's at nighttime. It would be exponentially probably more comfortable if it wasn't at night. But the fact is, it's got more eyeballs, and Terry, eyeballs is the business in television.
It really is. And, this is another show, another topic, but there are 2 or 3 innovations. I don't know if young people have thought it through that have really made sports what it is. Under the lights, number one, that's huge. Cable television. Think about what cable television did for the growth of sports. If cable television doesn't pop up and we don't have all these channels to put all these games on, you have, you don't get to promote. There would be no industry. The sports bar industry would never have been born. You can't have a sports bar if Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night you have no games to broadcast because you didn't have cable television. Buddy, you and I aren't going to go down to a sports bar and watch CSI and American Idol. You got to have games on. So cable television.
You don't have to get up there, shoot an interruption, and move your antenna around so you can pick it up. I go back that far. You don't.
Buddy, that story though you told about the World Series as we get you out of here, man, you have got a lot done in the 103 years you've been alive. You have got
102.
102. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. Everybody knows, but tell everybody as we wrap up where all they can find you and read you and subscribe to you and the whole rundown.
I appreciate that, Terry. And I must say, don't be like Bob. He said, Bob, subscribe. I wanted to emphasize a lot of stuff I use in my show this morning. This show, your show, is from Gator Bait Fans Beard Rights, one of the best columns out there anywhere. And he does it 4 and 5 times a week. And I would say to you, it's worth the price of admission just for his column alone. We have other things and some people. So I'm on the air 4 nights a week. Monday through Thursday, sometimes the weekend when football season. I have a Friday football show, and I look forward to doing it again this year with Billy Napier. And we've been doing this now for almost, Terry, you remember, we started this 5 years ago, and I know you came right along after me. We talked about how to do this, and thanks to Brendan Martin, I was able to do that, and we're here and enjoying. By the way, I think I might get that cable TV. I heard it's pretty good. Yeah, you got to do that. Buddy, thank you so very much. I know the audience every Tuesday, and I'm on the other side on Tuesdays watching you and Shane battle it out and getting knowledge as you've given me over the years. Thanks for everything you've ever done for me and will do for me in the future. I appreciate our friendship, and let's do it again soon. Thank you, Terry. Enjoyed being on with you. That's my buddy Martin, Tuesday guest here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. I'm Terry Norvelle in for Shane. He should be back tomorrow. Let's take a quick break, reset the show. Wow, it's been a good one. Talking a lot of college baseball on the other side. Trent Intorcia, my baseball analyst, former Mississippi State pitcher, 3 years in the minor leagues. He has played in the College World Series, been on one of those great Mississippi State teams in the 80s that went out to old Johnny Rosenblatt and played in the World Series. We'll talk a lot of college baseball on the other side. It's a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Ironwood Golf Course, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
From Buddy Martin to Trent Intorcia, as we switch it here, second half, Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. We switch it to a lot of college baseball as the SEC baseball tournament gets started today, and that'll lead us right into regionals. Terry Norvelle in for Shane Matthews. We had Buddy Martin on the Titan MRI hotline. We switch it over and welcome Trent Intorcia, our baseball analyst, joins us via the Titan MRI hotline. Trent, a lot of baseball to talk about. SEC gets started. Florida gets going today. This damn thing is way too long, Tuesday through Sunday. We'll talk about implications, but man, you're an old Mississippi State baseball guy and have made trips out to Johnny Rosenblatt, the old Johnny Rosenblatt and College World Series. Disappointing Mississippi State baseball season, but my goodness, part of a thrilling softball Sunday. Mississippi State, what in the world? They lose their first softball game. They have to fend off 4 elimination games and sweep in one day FSU, the number 2 seed. They do all that. The softball team at Mississippi State is moving on and hosting now. How about that?
Well, that took the sting away from a disappointing baseball season. That's for sure. So now all the baseball tailgaters are on the softball tailgating bandwagon, and they're trying to figure out how to create the left field lounge effect at the softball complex.
Yeah. Amazing. For people, and let's transition to we spent a few minutes with Buddy Martin talking about Gator softball, so we've covered that a little bit. Let's switch it to college baseball. For people that don't know, the SEC baseball tournament starts today. The conference, obviously, Trent, has 14 teams. 2 do not make it. They bring 12 because 12 teams sets up for a easier tournament than 14. So every year right now, 2 teams don't make it. Missouri didn't make it. And Mississippi State, the defending baseball national champions, didn't make the SEC tournament. They've turned in the uniforms. They're done for the year. Hard to believe, but coming off a national title, you can excuse them a little bit. We talked last week, a tough right out of the gate season for State. They had injuries. First series way back in February.
Yeah, just last week, no excuses for this. You should have a program like that should have depth. but they lost their 5th arm to Tommy John last week. So, I mean, that's basically half of the pitching staff. And, I told you before the show that I was in Starkville this weekend, just, for the last weekend. And a lot of the talk was, well, here, my question for you is, would you trade off a national championship for a subpar year this year? And then all the historians start going back into, well, in 2015, we did the same thing. And then in 2016, we're right back in Omaha. So I guess they're banking on the history repeats itself.
My answer is yes, 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 and yes. Give me that natty, and we'll talk about the next year and a little hiccup. That is fine. Florida today opens up their game 2 out in Hoover. Florida and South Carolina will play, the 4th straight game now. They played 3 over the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Florida just played South Carolina, and then they'll open up. That's a 2 o'clock game. You've got 4 games today. Bama, Georgia, the opener at 10:30 Central. Florida, South Carolina, game 2. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, game 3. And then the late game, Kentucky, Auburn. So those are your 4 games today in Hoover, 8 total teams. As we mentioned, Missouri and Mississippi State do not make it. Trent, by my estimation, by my count, pretty much 9 teams are going to get in. Here's who the 5 I've got. Obviously, 2 are not getting in, Missouri and Mississippi State. Bama, I've got Bama, South Carolina, and Kentucky really probably needing to win the whole thing to get in. So you move those 5 away. I think 9 are going to pretty much get in. Isn't that pretty standard for the SEC, even though it's a bit of a down year in baseball?
Well, I mean, it was a bit of a down year, and it was also a little more parity, it seemed like. You didn't have the runaway elitist and then the middle of the pack, but you and I have been doing this for a while now. We're used to talking about 5 SEC teams in the top 10.
Yes.
And right now there's 5 SEC teams in the top 25 total. So a little tough in that regard. And, one of the things I heard over the weekend too was, what the heck are they going to do in South Carolina, in Columbia?
Yeah, I know. With overall, we talked a little bit last week, and we won't belabor the point, but South Carolina, gosh, back, 2010, 2011, South Carolina baseball, Ray Tanner, back-to-back national titles. They had it rolling. Steve Spurrier was there winning 11 games 3 years in a row in football. It was just a good time. And South Carolina baseball, I don't want to fire Kingston, I think his name is, but man, you got to wonder what's going on with that. That's a proud baseball program. The Gators are in the regional. They're going to get in a regional, most likely on the road. Even if Florida goes 0-1, if Florida loses today, they're in, I'm almost assured, because of their schedule. They would travel. Trent, flip side, if Florida can go out and say, if they can get 3 wins, I think they host a regional. 0-1. 1-1, probably on the road. If Florida was to do something and go get, say, 3 wins and play deep into the week, can the Gators get a regional? I think they can.
Oh, I think the possibility's there. I think you've also got to look at kind of the other teams that maybe have to do the same thing.
Yeah,
so, it's the team that – and let me back up for a second here, because every year you and I debate this and we happen to agree on it.
Yeah.
Is the SEC, or these conference tournaments – do they hold any value? Well, for Florida this year, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
And or it does. And then it kind of messes you up for your rotation in the regional and things like that. But I'll tell you what, we know Sully's makeup well enough. He's telling those guys, we've got to win 2 or 3 games here to even have a chance to host.
The Melton Law Facebook Live comments coming in. Dan taking a little stab at Miami. We'll get to the Canes. Hopefully, we got some time. But Dan says if Florida's a 2 seed and they go to Coral Gables, there may be more Gator fans. I don't know if there'll be more, but there'll be a great contingent when Florida and Miami hook up in Coral Gables. It's a great crowd. It's a great crowd, and there will be a lot of Gator fans. We've talked also. The tournament's way too long. And I guess next 2 years from now, when Oklahoma and Texas come in, instead of 2 teams sitting out, it'll be 4. You just can't get more than 12, I don't think. But Trent, I don't like it. Tuesday through Sunday is way too long. A team like Tennessee, I don't even know if Tennessee wants to hang around until Sunday. And I think you know what I mean by that. Tennessee's carved out their niche. They know what's ahead of them. Tennessee would play tomorrow. As a matter of fact, by the way, Florida, if Florida wins, they'll play A&M tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Tennessee is sitting waiting on the winner of Ole Miss Vandy. A team like Tennessee, I don't even think they would care to be getting on a bus or a plane at 6:30 in the evening on Sunday trying to regroup. I don't think there's a whole lot there for Tennessee to spend 4 or 5 days on the diamond.
Yeah, and I agree. And you know what? Having seen them this weekend, they're as healthy as any team I imagine out there. Is a lot of teams fight the bug. But you made a good point here, Terry, because if Florida wins and then they have to play Texas A&M, Texas A&M is pretty much a lock for a host site. And even if they're on the bubble, that would be a huge quality win. Because right now we got Texas A&M. Well, they're sitting at number 5. So, I mean, they're a national seed at this point. That could knock them out of that.
Yeah, interesting. Speaking of Tennessee, this season has been a magical one, a gaudy record. You look at softball, you kind of want Oklahoma softball and Tennessee baseball. Can they play? They both had these crazy records. Tennessee's lost a few at the end of the year, but Trent, is it national title or bust for Tennessee? They've had such a dominant year in a really good conference. I mean, I know it's hard to win championships. I've given that phrase out a million times. Is it national title or bust for Tennessee baseball because it's been such a special year?
It's a good question, and I'll answer it in a second. I was at a high school baseball banquet last night, and somebody pulled me aside and said, how has Vitello done that in 2 years? That team, that program went from nobody really talking about it since, the years of Pat Summitt running the Natties and women's basketball. And these guys are solid. They've got 3 weekend starters that are 95, 96. They've got a closer that hits triple digits, and they hit up and down the lineup. And as I stated earlier, they're injury-free right now. Yeah. Is it national championship or bust? I think delusionally it is. Yeah. But I think if they don't, because you and I know how hard it is to win championships. We say that all the time, regardless of the sport. If they don't get to Omaha, though, I think it's a huge.
I'm glad you hit it there. I would really step back, Terry. National title or bust is hard. You got to go so many layers. I would say this, though. Tennessee, the year they've had, barring some stupid, crazy injuries or something, knock on wood, between now and regional time, they really need to make it Omaha. You get out there and then the baseball gods, but Tennessee really needs to make it to Omaha. Jeff chimed in, made a good point about what do you do if you're a team that has your roadmaps in front of you. Tennessee, if they keep playing, they're playing in Knoxville until Omaha, right? Yeah. Last year, Mississippi State was the exact same way. They were a powerhouse, Mississippi State, last year. And Jeff pointed out on the Meldon Law Facebook comment section here, Jeff pointed out Mississippi State threw the SEC tournament away. They didn't start any of their starting pitchers. Florida beat Mississippi State last year 13-1. And State could care less. They packed their bags and said, hey, we've got bigger fish to fry. And they went out and won the national title. But that was their approach last year was, winning championships is big, but they had their sights on the big trophy.
You have to, but you have to be in a position to do that.
Yes.
And obviously Tennessee is. You think about this, it's Tuesday. Some teams finished on Saturday. Some teams had to go into Sunday.
Yes.
You're starting pitching. Your Friday guy is not, even your Thursday guy, to come back on a Tuesday, that would be out of complete necessity. And now what you're doing is you're doing things that you haven't done all season long. Short rest. What have you done to prep? And then if you've used any of your midweek starters as relievers over the weekend, what does your pitching look like on a Tuesday?
Yeah, definitely. For Gator Nation watching, Florida today, 2:00 against South Carolina. If the Gators win, we know they will play Texas A&M tomorrow. Time has not been established yet for tomorrow's, for 2 of the 4. Time has been set for tomorrow. Arkansas would play the morning game. Tennessee would play the 5:30 game. But Florida A&M, if that game happens tomorrow, time not set yet. That'll be set via the next several hours. as the game plays on. Why has Florida turned the corner here? Some people say schedule. Some people say freshman arms. The big eyes have gotten a little bit smaller going to the mound after 3 months. Why is Florida playing seemingly really their best ball in a while post Hunter Barcos being injured?
Well, I mean, the big freshman or sophomore now, right? So they've got that year underneath them. You faced enough adversity early to see if you could respond.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Mississippi State and the season they had, but Florida went in there and took care of business and swept them. And that was kind of the turning point.
That kicked them on.
This little mini run that they went on.
Really did. A little side topic. I could have swore this morning I saw, or last evening, that I saw the SEC, all SEC teams were announced in baseball. I saw Wyatt Langford, the leadoff guy for Florida, second team. I'm like, if he is second team, who is first team? I'll let you go check that out. But I mean, Langford comes out of nowhere. He's now in the leadoff spot, well over 360, 21 dongs. I'm like, how in the world is Barry Bonds back in the SEC or playing in the SEC, and Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth? I mean, how did you follow the year he had out of nowhere for the Gators?
I did, and I was taking a look at those because there's co-SEC players of the year. Their numbers are the same. 20. Yeah. They both hit 21 home runs.
Yeah.
And they both hit around 370, 380. So, I mean, I realize you can't give it to 3 or 4 different people.
Yeah.
But those numbers are in this conference. I mean, I takes you back to my 2 teammates that had pretty good seasons together.
Yeah, a guy named Clark and a guy named Palmero at Mississippi State. I always bring this up. I know it's painful, but, man, clearly the best team in the history of college baseball to not win the College World Series. What was that, 85? That 85 team that probably the best team in the nation, and it's hard to win championships. What a team. Led by Trent Intorcia and some other guy named Will Clark and some other guy named Rafael Palmero, Jeff Brantley, and Bobby Thigpen, who held the American League save record for years. And you drove them all the way out there, Trent, but you couldn't finish the trip with a tie.
Yeah, I drove the bus, right, Terry? I mean,
Hey, buddy, a few minutes before we get you out of here. Go ahead.
No, a quick bit of humor. When you watch, they start talking about those 4 guys, and then my mother always chimes in with, then there's Trent Intorcia. It's like, thank you, Mom. That's what a good mom does.
That 30 for 30 Thunder and Lightning documentary that is phenomenal. Hey, you got some camera time. You're on that thing about 4 times. Hey, if you got on it one more time, you'd have to go get a SAG card, man. You were like a Hollywood star. Hey, real quick, let's jump out of the SEC as we wrap up a little bit with our final talk with college baseball with Trent Intorcia. Florida State, Miami, the baseball programs, they kind of mirrored each other what they did replacing legendary coaches. They went with long-time assistants that were in the program forever. Gino DeMari at Miami, long-time number 2 guy at Miami. Mike Martin Jr., obviously nearly 20 years as the number 2 guy under his father at FSU. So Miami and FSU hired kind of the same philosophy. It took Miami a couple of years, but boy, DeMari, let's start with those guys. Looks like Miami's got that thing figured out, and the talent's coming back in. They've had a solid second half where they've been in the top 10 basically all year, and they should host.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're right now in national position.
Yeah.
And, give them credit because I think the expectation in Gino DeMari's first year was probably a little too elevated.
Agreed.
Because they were kind of coming off just, mediocre seasons, and they had a lot of preseason hype. And if you remember, they reeled off like 10, 11, or 12 straight wins. So now all of a sudden you're 12-0, and you go, oh, they're the top team in the country. And then it sort of leveled off for them. But he's settled in nicely there. He's got him in great position, and they're playing as good as they have all year right now, too.
FSU, I guess they've gotten in postseason play. They've hung around the back end of the top 25. The visual with FSU baseball is not there. You've seen them. I've seen them for years. They even under Senior the last 5 years, they weren't getting FSU looking players and that level. Mike Martin Jr., I don't think it's time to, he's getting them in postseason. They're going to get in postseason again, but there's a gap now. This is not that perennial FSU just juggernaut. How do I phrase it? But, is he within a couple of years of a couple more years? FSU needs to be solidly in the top 10 or what?
Well, it's a great question. I think the answer is yes. And I think that if you look at how many times 11 went to Omaha, regardless of never winning it, 20, I think it was like 22 times in 40 years, and he had 40 years of 40 straight years of 40-win seasons. So, the legacy is going to live on, the pressure is going to live on, and unfortunately for Junior, that is a situation where you're following like a Spurrier or somebody like that, a legendary coach, and those, generally speaking, don't work out well for the
we'll see. We'll give it a couple more years. I'm not putting Mike Martin Jr., who I like a lot, on the hot seat, but a couple of years from now, FSU baseball needs to be holding one of those top 10 spots like they held for 40 years and be back. Trent, we'll let you go. Last thought, kind of a fun thought, real quick, 30 seconds. Have you had a chance to see Oklahoma softball this year, the defending national champions, and they are 49-2? That's their record.
Isn't it like Oklahoma chapter 10? I think they've been doing this forever. I think it was 2 years ago, you and I were doing this. They had a 50-win season.
They're the defending champions.
They're not only can they pitch it, they can hammer it.
And their pitcher can hit.
Right.
Quick little side note, though, 49-2, I think the record is. Obviously, they won the Big 12 regular season. They lost the tournament. Oklahoma State put that second loss on them 10 days ago or whatever. Texas beat them in a 3-game series. Texas stole one. They rattled off 36 in a row. They set the record 36-0. Texas finally beat them in one of 3. But Oklahoma State, who's really good, beat Oklahoma, so they've got the Big 12 tournament title. And Oklahoma State's ranked 10th in the nation. How about, and it's happened before, Oklahoma State could meet in softball in Oklahoma City. Oh, my goodness.
That's a great storyline right there, for sure.
It is. Trent, thanks, buddy. Enjoy SEC baseball. And then, buddy, it's you and I. It's our time. We'll be burning up the text line the next 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, as nothing like college baseball, college softball postseason. I love it. You love it. Enjoy it, buddy.
Yep, let's do it again. Thanks, Terry.
Appreciate it. That's Trent Intorcia. Break time, final break on a Tuesday. Been a fun one. We'll come back, reset the show, and wrap it up. Another Pod Up with Matthews in the morning coming to a close. I'll tell you about it on the other side.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, Aikido America, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Just about wrapping it up on a Tuesday. Terry Norvelle sitting in for Shane Matthews here on a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. Boy, you can consume this show a number of ways. Follow the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can listen to the show on, nearly 40 digital platforms, all the big boys. If you can think about it, you can hear it. Obviously, the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, many, many more, many ways to consume this wonderful show, Pot Up with Matthews in the morning, produced by my main man, the one, the only, Evan Miller, who did it again today. Hey, tomorrow, Shane, we think's back tomorrow. JC, obviously, the co-host, will be on the show, and you don't want to miss it. Will be a day 2 of the SEC baseball tournament, a little bit closer to softball regionals, which start Friday. Florida starts Friday. I believe it's 2:00 at Blacksburg. Gators today, 2:00 in baseball. If Florida wins today, they will face Texas A&M tomorrow. Time has not been set. That'll wrap it up. Thank you to all of our guests today. Obviously, Buddy Martin and Trent Intorcia, and I mentioned a moment ago, thanks to the great producer, Evan Miller, for making it happen behind the scenes. That'll wrap it up. I'm Terry Norvelle. Hope you enjoyed the Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
Trying to get the fans fired up. 2nd down and 10. Matthews rolling to his right, in trouble, can't find anyone. Now he throws it for Harrison Houston, who makes the catch. He's in the open field. Harrison to the 20. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Gators!